Okay, on the next victim is going to be the number 429 AC single action 37 to 51 Chevrolet. We're going to go through this baby and get it ready to work. If you want to order a kit and do this at home, look on the mounting flange anywhere around in here, and you'll find a part number that is stamped into it. You want to give that number to the person who answers the phone, and they'll be able to look up a kit for you. First order of business, mount it in a vise if you have one. It's easy to work on. You can do everything with it sitting just like this. You want to make a mark somewhere between the fuel casting and the body, so that this goes back on the same way, and your inlet and outlet end up in the same spot. If you want to trust it to memory, that's fine, but sometimes life can get in the way, and you don't get to finish it right away. So take a picture of it, draw a picture, do whatever you have to make it so that it goes back on the same way. Get that bowl out of the bail out of the way, take your fittings out, and this, some of you may cringe at this, but a few light taps. If you have a plastic mallet, use that. I just don't happen to have one right away. Here's your filter. Get a screwdriver, and on the other side here there's a little tower that sticks up. You can just use it to pry that out of the way. Get that filter out. You'll get a new one in a kit. You got a gasket that sits in here. You'll get a new one. And remove all the 6 screws that hold it down. Sometimes when you're undoing the last one, the casting will pop up, but for the most part it'll stay stuck down. If it's stuck down like this one here is, get a putty knife, put it in between the 2 castings and tap away. It'll knock it loose, and you'll gain access to the inlet and outlet valves and the 2 little screws that hold it down. Remove them. Valves will come out. Underneath the valves there's usually a paper washer or paper gasket under each screw valve. It helps to seal it. You got a clamp that holds the valves down, and these valves just pop out. You can see the gasket that's there. Throw away all of that. You're not going to use it again. Well, this one's going to take a trip through the glass beater. I don't want a lot of glass to get down in the holes where the screws go. Plus I want to clean the screws. So I'll put them back in. And this piece is ready. We want to get the diaphragm out. We want to push it down, tip it back, and scoot the bottom this way. It unhooks the diaphragm, the pull rod off the link. Yours might have a seal, it might not have a seal. This particular one does. So we want to remove that. and you'll get a new one of these in the kit. Now this body is ready. Let's take the arm out. Remove this spring. Be careful because it'll jump. You get a new spring in the kit. This particular one, all it is the pin is level with the casting on both sides. So what they've done is they've dimpled the casting, and it crushes it in a little bit and holds the pin from sliding out. So what we're going to do is just knock it down through. You can't remove that. And as soon as you start driving that pin through, it'll open up the part that they switched closed. Knock the pin out. And that's the link that the pull rod is hooked on. And we're going to let this take a trip through the glass beater. The body is ready. We'll be back shortly with all nice clean pieces. All these surfaces will be all nice and flat. They'll be clear coated. It'll look like a brand new pump. Stand by. Now we've got everything all cleaned up. Surfaces are all flat. It's ready for some reassembly. We'll do the valves first. Now in your kit, you're going to get, among other things, 2 paper washers. They go under the valves. Pay attention to how these valves went when you took them out. One of them went one way, one went the other way. Usually the casting down inside, one hole is smaller than the other. In this particular one, instead of doing that, they put this little piece of casting right here. It's to let you know that the valve that goes in that particular hole is going to go this way, as opposed to upside down, or however you want to say it. And if you wanted to just make sure, look at the casting. This is going to be the inlet, so fuel's going to come in and go in. Fuel's going to come in and then go down into where the diaphragm sits. In order for it to do that, it has to come this way, which is right. Take your clamp, 2 screws. If your pump has valves that don't use this clamp, then they're pressed in there, and in order to remove them, the easiest way to do that is to take a screwdriver and drive it through the middle of it, pull it to one side, and it'll pop it up. Same with the other one, just get underneath the cage and pry it up. Then when you go to put the new one in, you're going to press them in and then take a punch and dimple the casting, usually 3 or 4 places around the outside of it, and it dimples it so that the aluminum casting will actually hold the valve from popping out. That's if you have that style, which means that you've got a later casting. Now, there's a gasket that goes in here. Filter that goes on the top. And you want this to go down, let it bottom out, or see again, usually there's little small casting towers that stick up that limit how deep that thing can go. What I like to do is push this down far enough so that the tower, center tower, is hitting the screen. Don't push it down too far. Put on the bail. And the bowl. Now if you look down the side of here, inside the bowl it's got three little glass stanchions sticking out. That's to hold this down from. Snug that down. Now again, look for the, right on here it says in, so air is going to go in. Obviously this side's going to go out. So you should be able to blow air in and not suck any air out. Suck air out and not blow it in. That'll tell you that the valves are seated. And these are. Now we want to put this together. This is the body. We want to put the arm, put the spring in, the link in the arm, and then the pin to go through it. What I found the easiest way to do it is, remember how you drove it out? So the pin's going to go in from this side. And what I like to do is start the pin. Now the pin you're getting in the kit should look exactly like the other one. Now in order to get it lined up right, make sure that's sitting in the right spot. And then stick a drip pin in from the other side. Use it as a way to hold that arm. And just start tapping it in. As you're driving that pin out, it'll push this one out. And we'll hang on to this for another one. Don't forget to dimple the castings again, or that pin will slide right out. Use some kind of a punch. I use a center punch. You don't have to hit it hard. Just enough to push that casting in, so it'll hold that pin from sliding out. Put the spring back on. Now this particular pump uses a seal. It just sits over the top of that like that. And we want to put a little dab of oil on the center of it, just to keep it from running dry. Diaphragm and the spring, just line up the hole in that this way, so that you can hook it onto that pull rod the link that's in there. And with any luck you'll get it on the first try. Otherwise, keep trying, you'll get it. Make sure that these holes line up with the holes. If they're off just a little bit, it's okay, because you got some leeway there. Just remember how your orientation went. This inlet was to the left. Lining up, we want to get 2 screws to go through the casting and the diaphragm. And we'll do it this way because of that bail is in the way. Get 2 of those screws caught. Just run them about halfway down. Just enough to hold the casting. You don't want to tighten them all the way down. Not yet. Bring the rest of your screws down. Again, just halfway. Sometimes it's better to take this bail off. To get it screwed a little easier. Now that it's not tight. Now just for leverage, you want to use a adjustable wrench. You can do it by hand, but you're going to be sitting there for a little bit of time. Pull it so that it goes all the way up and stops. Now tighten down at least 4 of these screws. Now what you're doing is you're preloading the diaphragm. Makes it last longer, keeps it from stretching out, and gives you the correct amount of fuel pressure. Whereas if you left it down, tighten down the screws, chances are you'd have a higher fuel pressure than normal. And this to do with how much that diaphragm stretches. Go around once more. Make sure you cut them all the same amount of tension. Just remember it's going into cast aluminum, and they can strip. With it in the relaxed position, hold your finger over the inlet and try to pull it up, and you'll see it's got a pressure. With it up, hold your finger over the outlet and let it go, and you'll feel pressure there. This particular one is ready to go back to the customer. You've done it. Any questions, leave them in the comment section. If you haven't already, click on the subscribe button and the little notification bell to that way you'll know when the next video goes up. If you want me to do one on your particular one, if you've got a kit for it, leave a message in the comment section. Get in touch with us at 781-335-8860 or on the web then-now.com. Thanks for watching. I hope this helped, and be safe.